Welcome back to class. Today we shall talk about lipids, but I'm sure you haven't forgotten that we eat first and foremost to satisfy energy needs, about the carbohydrates. Yes, our learning objectives for today is you should be able to list types of lipids that are found in foods and their functions. Identify the role of lipids in both the body and in food. Give reasons why some amount of fat is necessary in the diet. Describe the digestion and absorption of fat in the body. Explain the relationship between lipids or fats and disease risk. Types of lipids. We find different types of lipids in our foods and also in the human body, and they fall into three main classes. We have triglycerides, tri meaning three, triglycerides. We also have phospholipids. Yes, we also have sterols, and a typical sterol is our cholesterol is already a challenge, but we have it in our foods and also in our body. And another typical example or part of sterol is vitamin D, and then also part of bile, which are important in the body. Why the name triglyceride? Because we have three molecules of glycerol that is attached by fatty acid chains. Those are the chains that you see over there, the fatty acid chains. Yes, fatty acids. So it is the fatty acids that really determine which type of fat that we are eating. The glycerol backbone is common to all fats. When you take groundnut oil, we take coconut oil, we take palm oil, we take whatever we take, glycerol molecule is the same, but it is the fatty acid chains that determine the type of fat that we are using. And we can group the fats into three. We have saturated fat, that is, there is no double bond, and the first diagram there shows that that is the saturated fat, no double bond. Then the second one is monounsaturated fat, that is, there is one single bond. There is one double bond. There is one double bond. And that is the second one, mono. And then there is the polyunsaturated fat. That is the third one. That is more than two double bonds. And that is what it is. And if you take fat, 1 gram of fat provides us with 9 calories. 1 gram of fat will give us 9 calories. Whereas carbohydrate, 1 gram will give us 4 calories. So note that fat contains more energy than carbohydrates. That is one major reason why we should go low on fat. And the body also has the ability to store the fat. Yes, the diagram you see on the screen shows different types of fats that we have and the types of fatty acids that we have, monosaturated or poly. This is very, very important. The more unsaturation the fat is, the better it is. The better it is for us to use. So when we look at, take a typical example, let's take our palm oil. We see the palm oil standing there, we see some of them, everything is solid. So it means that that is more of saturated, so it is all good. But the ones with some liquid on top, it tells us that it is polyunsaturated, that is best. So fats that do not solidify, even when we put them in the fridge, that is the best for us to use in our cooking. That is the best for us to use in our cooking. What are some of the functions of fat? Within the body, fat plays an important role. It also plays an important role in the food that we eat. Within our body, it acts as a protective organ. It protects the vital organs like the heart, the kidneys, the livers. We have fat around it so that when somebody punches you, it acts as a shock absorber. That's as a shock absorber. Fat also plays an important role when it comes to the transport of the fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K. This is very, very essential. That is why when we are putting somebody on diet, we don't remove fat totally from the diet, because without fat, those essential vitamins A, D, and E cannot be absorbed. When it comes to food, yes, we also use fat in therapy. It contains the highest nutrient with the highest energy value. So if somebody cannot eat a lot, sometimes we can add a tablespoon or a teaspoonful of fat to the diet to increase the energy load so that the person can get energy. Fat also gives taste to food, and sometimes people who cannot eat, once the food has fat or it is fried, they get the appetite. So looking at it from both within the body and outside the body, within the food, it is also very, very important, because with the food, it gives some special characteristics to food that enhances appetite. And therefore, when we are managing some people, that is what helps them to eat the food. When it comes to fat digestion in the mouth, there is nothing happens. But with children, they are able to do some small digestion in the mouth because of the lingual lipase that they contain. That is only for babies, but not for adults. But for adults, nothing happens in the mouth. In the stomach, we have the fat floating in the watery fluid, and this in the small intestine, that is where we have emulsification of the fat. That is where actually fat digestion takes place, in the small intestines. And to be able to do this, we have the bile, which is released from the liver, and it is stored in the gallbladder, that goes into the small intestines to enhance, for the emulsification to take place, to enhance digestion. Emulsification is key. Without emulsification, digestion cannot go on. After the emulsification, then there's release of pancreatic hormones that break down the lipids into smaller fragments, and then it is formed into micelles. Then they orient themselves into water-loving and then water-hating portions, as you see in the diagram, because like dissolves like. In the small intestines, at the brush border, we have what is called the unstirred water layer. Unstirred water layer. And if you all know soup with fat, the fat is always on top. It doesn't mix with water. So the same thing happens in the stomach, in the small intestines, where absorption has to take place. If fat should be absorbed directly, it cannot, because of the unstirred water layer. So what happens is that with the micelle formation, the micelles orient themselves so that we have water loving pointing outside and water hating being inside. And with that, it is able to go through the unstirred water layer to enter the enterocyte, and then it can then be absorbed and used. So read the notes under the flow diagram so that you can get it better. Then within the bloodstream, it moves as chylomicrons into the different parts, and it is used goes into the body, and then metabolism takes place, where we need to synthesize new fatty acids that they provide the chains, and then new ones are synthesized. Yes, so this is also a summary of the digestion and absorption, which makes life very easy for you. Yes, so this is the small intestines. Yes, for absorption to take place, the villi has to fold itself. As it folds itself, then to form the microvilli. The microvilli also folds itself again to form another, and by so doing, it increases the surface area that allows the absorption to go on easily. And then how does it move in the blood? It moves as in three main forms: at very low density lipoprotein, VLDL, and then the LDL, that is the low density lipoprotein, and then the high density lipoprotein. The VLDL and the LDL, those are what you normally would call the bad fat when we do the cholesterol lipid panel, the lipid profile, whereas the HDL is the good one. And always remember, I always say H for health, H for health. So that is a clue for you to know the difference, the HDL. Whilst the HDL will carry the cholesterol away from the body to be excreted, the VLDL will carry it for deposition. That is what causes the problem. So it is important that we make sure that we educate people not to eat more of the saturated fat as well as the trans fat, so that they can have more of the HDL, which can carry. The body itself produces some of the cholesterol. So cholesterol is not anything essential that we should have in our diet. What are some of the lifestyle behaviors that predisposes us to high blood cholesterol? It is very, very important. Somebody may have high blood cholesterol, that is high LDL, the low density lipoprotein. Yes, if you are not physically active, you are eating foods that are rich in cholesterol, that is the red meat, the gizzard, the livers, all the offals. Yes. And as you educate, please make sure you educate the men well. The men in Ghana, those are the things that they like. Liver, gizzard, yes, the kebabs and whatnot, the red meat, our men should shy away from it. It's very, very important. And then also note that our women, once you become menopausal, those things too shouldn't be part of your life. It is very, very important. So let's educate our population. Then high blood pressure is also associated with that. Once you have the high cholesterol, it also predicts that. Type 2 diabetes, overweight, yes, physically inactive, so we need to be active. Cigarette smoking, all these things are risk factors. And when these things are present, the chance of getting heart attack is also very high. So let us be mindful of this. Yes, when we talk of fatty acids, yes, we are eating the fat, but there are some that are essential. And when we talk of essentiality in nutrition, what it means is that the body cannot make it, and therefore it must be present in the diet. What are the two main essential fatty acids? We have the linolenic acid, also known as omega-6 fatty acids, and then linolenic acid, also known as omega-3 fatty acids. And fish oils, our granules, are also rich in these oils. They are rich in these oils. And it is very, very important that we consume fish, the fatty fish. Very, very important. However, if we do not have them, yes, problems do arise. There can be skin abnormalities, and even sometimes reproduction becomes a challenge for both the male and the female. And in children, problems have also arisen with the eye. So it is very, very important that we make sure. The kidney and other liver disorders are also very common. Linolenic acid is the parent fatty acid for arachidonic acid, so that is not much of a problem. But once that we are promoting, asking everybody, and even right down there are capsules about omega-3 fatty acid capsules that the individual can buy. They are very, very important, and studies have shown that they help to lower the blood cholesterol. And that is why studies have shown that people from Greenland, they do not have heart problems and capillary problems because they eat a lot of fish and fish products. So it is more to skew towards fish and fish products and go low on the meat and then the meat products. Yes, another major problem that we have that is associated with high cholesterol is trans fatty acids. Trans fatty acids. And where do we get the trans fatty acids? They are from our baked goods. All the funny things that we enjoy, the biscuits, the meat pies and whatnot, because they are made from margarine. And what happens is that during the hydrogenation of the polyunsaturated fats to the oils to make the hard margarine, there is transformation of the bonds, and that is what is called the trans. And therefore, this type of fat is not very good. So studies have shown that people who eat a lot of baked goods, their chance of eating more of trans fatty acids is very high. And in the West, for example, every margarine, the producer has to declare the amount of trans fat so that the person who is going to buy is in the know, and there is a limit that their Food and Drugs Board have for it to be declared good. But here in Ghana, nobody is checking that, so we have to be very careful. So replacing those baked goods with other things that do not contain margarine as a major source is a very good thing that will help our heart and our arteries to protect us from heart diseases and then blood vessel diseases and even stroke. So it is very, very important that we go low on those baked goods. So what are the dietary guidelines that are for us to have a healthy lifestyle at all times. And this is for everybody, from childhood to the old man. We should limit the amount of fat. Limit the amount of fat. Limit the amount of fat, because fat is loaded with a lot of calories. It's loaded with a lot of calories. Although fat makes the food tasty, we should be. Well, even on the market, we see people buying fat. When we are buying meat, they put the meat there, then they cut fat and put on. It is not good. You are not getting the value for the money. So we need to educate our clients to get the value of their money. You are buying meat and not fat. The same thing, those who like the domendo, you know, the fat back, the skin. Yes, and even on campus and all over, when they are doing the kebab, the pork kebab, one meat, one pork, and you think it's meat. It is not meat. You are not getting the value of the money. Meat is muscle. Meat is not fat. The fact that the fat is hard doesn't mean it is meat. No, it is not. So let us try to explain this to our clients, that that is fat and it is not meat. So we should limit it and possibly eliminate them totally. We should also limit the amount of saturated fat. Any fat or any oil, that when we see it even sitting out there and it is hard, it tells us that it is saturated fat. If it is liquid in room temperature and we put it in the fridge and it becomes very hard, then it tells us that it contains high levels of saturated fat. So we should limit it or avoid it. Then what about trans fat? We should limit it. Where do we get the trans fat from? All the baked goods, the funny things that margarine is used to make, they contain a lot of trans fat, and that has been shown to be a major risk factor for heart and artery diseases. And then overall, we should limit calories. And as I mentioned, fat is the richest source of calories, so we need to limit that. 1 gram will give us 9 grams of calories, whereas carbohydrate, 1 gram will give us 4 calories. So you see that it is 2 times more, and even over 2 times more of what carbohydrate will give us. Although fat is good, it is essential, it carries our vitamins, our fat-soluble vitamins. It doesn't mean we should eat and eat. We should decant our food to get rid of the fats from them. So for your take-home, read your handout 2 on lipids to get a better understanding of lipids in nutrition and health. I will see you next week. Remember, do your readings. Thank you.